The following program is suitable for viewing by children under the supervision of adults. Parental discretion is advised.
News headlines brought to you by
Shop at fontanapharmacy.com and have your order delivered right to your door.
In primetime news this evening, deported, displaced, and afraid to come home. We speak with the Jamaican pastor in Eswatini about his experience.
NARA mapping a major construction projects.
And constable's murder case moved to circuit court. Good evening and welcome to primetime news. A very special welcome to our viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com. I'm Anthony Love.
And I'm Janella Precious. With a preview of what's to come in business news is Mr. England himself, Dwayne Anderson.
I'll take up the England bit with you on Wednesday, but some bad news for us here in Jamaica and the world by extension, because Iran and the USA, they've begun intense fighting, and that's bad news for oil prices. I'll tell you how bad it is later in the business news.
Thank you so much, Dwayne, and I'll use a little saying from Dwayne. Jermaine, is it coming home in sports?
Thanks, Andy. Anthony, what I'll say is I have some good news as the FIFA Men's World Cup resumes tomorrow. It's semi-final time, and it's France versus Spain on Tuesday. We'll tell you more a bit later on.
I love his energy, and yes, love. There's also sports commentary and E-Prime in this newscast. But before the break, Lug, our feedback question.
And this evening we are asking, what are your predictions for the semi-final matches in the 2026 FIFA World Cup?
Okay, so we know that Dwayne is going to say England and Jermaine is going to say Spain. I don't know, but whatever. We can't wait to hear from you at televisionjamaica.com, and you can also post on X at Television Jamaica.
Post on X at TVJ News Center, Facebook.com /television.
Whatever you
post
say.
on X at TVJ News Center. Please stay with us. Primetime News returns right after this break. Welcome back to Primetime News.
And a special welcome once again to our viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com.
First up this evening, the Ministry of National Security says the 2 Jamaicans who were deported to St. Kitts and Nevis from the United States as part of the Third Country National Agreement have decided to stay there.
The details were revealed in response to questions posed by our news center.
Jamila Maitland has the details.
The 2 Jamaicans who landed in St. Kitts and Nevis in May were the first to arrive on the island as part of the Third Country National Agreement with the United States. And according to the Ministry of National Security, the Jamaicans, who TVJ News has come to learn are 2 males, have decided to remain there. The ministry says it received information from its counterparts that the Jamaicans will not be returning home, at least not for now. It also says the Jamaicans are not in custody and were landed as ordinary passengers. The ministry also says it had no information to suggest any crimes were committed by the 2 Jamaicans in the U.S. As for why the men were removed from the U.S. and why they weren't deported directly to Jamaica, the Ministry of National Security could not say. TVJ News posed a similar question to the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. However, we have not received a response. The ministry says it was not contacted by the U.S. authorities about the deportation of the 2 nationals to St. Kitts and Nevis. It said it learned through a diplomatic note from the Kittitian government on May 22 that it received 2 Jamaican nationals. The National Security Ministry, in describing the usual deportation process, says after exhausting the legal avenues to stay in the U.S., the authorities then start to coordinate with the Jamaican officials for removal. In all of the instances listed by the ministry, it said the Jamaican government is made aware. However, when asked how the deportation process differs under the TCN agreement, it said the coordination is only between the sending and transit countries. In the case of the 2 Jamaicans, the US and St. Kitts and Nevis. Jamaica and the US government have signed an MOU for a similar program. Unlike St. Kitts and Nevis, the ministry in its responses to TVJ News on July 7 said foreign nationals are not entitled to remain in Jamaica. Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang just a couple weeks before said there was no guarantee that the foreign nationals would leave after landing in Jamaica. Now, the government says the foreign nationals may be removed legally. As for when the Jamaican government plans to receive its first batch of TCN, the National Security Ministry says not until it has satisfied several other concerns, which includes the potential health and security risks, housing and monitoring, among other issues. Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
Where are the Jamaican authorities? The question being asked by the attorney representing a Jamaican pastor who was recently deported to Eswatini by the United States. And even as 64-year-old Junior Alves waits for what's next, he does not want to return to Jamaica. Deidre Thomas reports.
For many, a journey to a new country represents hope, opportunity, or a fresh beginning. But for 64-year-old Jamaican national pastor Junior Alves, it has been marked by uncertainty, fear, and unanswered questions. He was among 11 people deported by the United States to Eswatini on July 8, 2026.
Starting off from the get-go, I was wrongfully picked up because of what has been going on with ICE and picking up people. I think I was wrongfully picked up in the crowd.
It was only after that process was underway, he says he learned his destination was a Southern African nation.
I began to question, like I said, in question, and then somebody said, the officer turned to me and said, Mr. I'm sorry to say, but I think they're going to take you to a country. I don't know where they're going to take you, but I think you get deported. I said, stop playing with me, man. Stop playing with me, please, stop playing with me. So I said, no, I'm serious. However, you can talk to an ICE officer. Lo and behold, I seen an ICE officer say, you're going to Africa. I said, Africa? How on earth you want to send me to a place where I got my family in Fort Lauderdale, my 7 kids and my wife. They are going through so much already. My daughter is talking about committing suicide.
We spoke with Mr. Alves while he is at the detention center in Eswatini.
And have you heard any information as to how long you will be there?
No, I've heard nothing at all. I can't say I'm comfortable, which is that I'll be lying. I can't say I'm feeling not. It's so much going on right now. Every day, every morning is a different challenge.
Mr. Alves had been residing in the U.S. for over 4 decades. He told TVJ News he had been allowed to stay in the U.S. by a judge under the United Nations Convention Against Torture, CAT, in 2016. CAT is a binding international human rights treaty that prohibits torture, cruel, or degrading treatment in all circumstances. This treaty prevents individuals from being deported to a country they're likely to face torture. As part of that protection, he was required to report to U.S. immigration authorities annually.
I want to be with my family in the U.S. where I belong. They are suffering. I was a breadwinner as a father. My wife is sickly. Our mom just passed. It's so much she are going through. I told the judge, America would be safer for me than to go anywhere else in this world.
According to his wife, Joan Alves, he had documents before a judge when he was picked up and detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement in January 2026.
He had a pending habeas corpus on a judge's desk. With the habeas corpus, after 180 days, the judge has to question ICE to find out what's going on. So the habeas corpus was open on a judge's desk, and ICE just automatically transferred him out of the country.
Wilfred Rattigan is legal advisor representing Mr. Alves.
Your client, he would have said that he had fears of being in Jamaica at the time. Did he ever tell you why was that so?
No, and I'd rather not delve into that, except to say that he had legal status in the United States and that we are puzzled as to why he was stopped and detained.
Mr. Rattigan further argues that his client does not fit the profile of migrants the Trump administration said it was targeting for removal.
The question is, was he ever arrested for any crime? Of moral turpitude, they would say, since he acquired legal status? And the answer, to the best of my knowledge, is no.
And while the transfer has drawn public attention, the legal advisor says his client is still waiting for contact from Jamaican officials. He's demanding answers from the government before the week ends.
Mr. Alves has not renounced his Jamaican citizenship, even though he has legal status in the United States, which means the government is obligated to pay a consular visit to him. And here it is that so far he has not heard from them directly, and of course he hasn't seen anyone. And this is a legal requirement. So we're still waiting he's still waiting, and they have their offices in Pretoria, which is next door.
Deidre Thomas, TVJ News.
The case against Constable Andrew Wilson, who was charged in connection with the fatal shooting of 45-year-old Latoya Buju Bulgin, has been transferred to the St. James Circuit Court. Prosecutors withdrew the matter from the St. James Parish Court after entering a nolle prosequi and filing a voluntary bill of indictment, allowing the case to proceed directly in the higher court. Now, the move enables the prosecution to bypass preliminary hearings in the lower court, expediting the trial process. Constable Wilson was re-granted bail in the sum of $1 million. His attorney, King's Counsel Peter Champagny, said the constable is scheduled to return to court on October 9 for a case management hearing. Now, according to data from the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, since January 2024, 66 law enforcement officers have been charged in relation to incidents investigated by INDECOM. Of that total, 10 JCF police officers and 1 correctional officer were charged in 2026. Now, still to come this evening, Helsha View housing development facing more delays. And in business news, Brent crude rises as Iran war escalates. We'll be right back.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're continuing the news. A major standoff is brewing between depositors and the developers of the long-delayed Helsha View housing development in Portmore St. Catherine. Residents took to the streets on Sunday to vent their frustration after several missed deadlines. But as Kelisha Williams reports, the developers' Right Solutions said they have encountered several challenges since the project started.
Clad in black, a symbol of their struggle.
We are right here asking for homes. Our home to pay our money down. And right now, and Netflix, we're going to call. You know, we're going to call Netflix, we're going to create a documentary. We talk about how long we pay down for our money and we can't get no out.
These residents in Portmore St. Catherine took to the streets for the second time in over a year. This, as they say, there is no end in sight for the completion of the Helsha View housing development.
Honestly, for us to take back our deposits after 4 years, as you can see, all the other developments in Portmore, 40 million, 30 million. We take back 1.5 or 1.7 now. That can't do nothing.
The project began in 2021 following an announcement by the Prime Minister in 2019. Still, the houses are only a shell of what was initially proposed.
I would have paid on 1.76 million and they asked us to give that money within 5 days. 5 days. 5 days. Let's empty out my savings, everything. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. You're not mad? People can't pay them their money for so long and not give people them out. The people that meet with Andrew, Doctor, the Prime Minister, Andrew Wellness, and nothing to we are right again. So what kind of message is the Prime Minister sending to us, the people who are pay tax?
Need some answers and we need them now. We are tired of the runaround. We are tired of the emails that go nowhere, asking for 2 more weeks, asking for another week, asking for another month. And still no conclusion whatsoever, no solution.
Since I've made my deposit, it's going to be my 4th year promising my kids that we're not going to put a Christmas tree in another rented property. And here we are again this year, 2026 ending. Rent house again.
Right Solutions is the developer behind the project. The prospective homeowners point us to a few letters sent by the company to explain the reason for the delay. The latest letter sent on July 10 stressed that when the project started, the developers were confronted with additional challenges. That included additional excavation, the need for retaining walls, increase in rock content, and higher density of the rock than was previously advised. And as a result, there is need for additional financing, which would require the Housing Agency of Jamaica, their partner, to amend their previous agreement. Once that is completed, the developer said the units can be acquired within 6 to 8 months.
Even the blind man can't say that they're tough, right? So we never know who to carry up this stuff. To assess the hardness of the rock.
What's next? We don't know. We want a solution. We want to know, are we going to get the houses? Are we going to move forward with the development? What's happening? We don't know. We just need answers. We need somebody to be honest with us because right now everybody's just basically giving the wrong solutions and, we should wait and, I don't know, 2 more weeks, 3 more months, 3 more weeks, and it's been years.
In the meantime, one of the directors of Right Solutions, Owen Campbell, affirmed all that was said in the July 10 letter. Additionally, he said while a geotechnical report was done prior to construction, it only showed a small percentage of rock cover and the density. As such, he told us the company has already spent $3 billion on the land, which is above budget. According to Mr. Campbell, the company is currently waiting on the HAJ to accept their new proposal to amend their agreement so that they can get additional funding. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
Acting Chief Education Officer of the Ministry of Education, Terry Ann Thomas Gale, is pushing back at suggestions that the ministry's evaluation of the 2026 PEP results is misleading. She was speaking at the Region 7 School Leadership Conference. Kimberly Petty reports.
In its assessment of the 2026 Grade 6 PEP exams, the Ministry of Education reported improvements in mathematics and language arts. The ministry's analysis also showed that 72% of students scored proficient of highly proficient in language arts, literacy 79% mastery, numeracy 75% mastery, while mathematics only missed by 1%. But opposition spokesman on education, Damian Crawford, has argued that the analysis is flawed, as he contends that given changes in the exam due to Hurricane Melissa, it's impractical to compare this year's result to last year's. We put the issue to the ministry's acting CEO, Terrion Thomas Gale.
The test, we stand to the data that is presented on the assessment, and it's up for investigation and scrutiny if like being, but I can assure you that our minister in due course will respond fulsome to our opposition if she so desires.
Mrs. Thomas Gale reassured the parents and the wider Jamaica that they have no need to fear.
I will tell our parents and I will tell all of Jamaica, please allow the primary exit profile exam, which is built on the national standards curriculum, to do what is intended. Once we see that the test doing what it is intended, we will see a Jamaica group of students leaving our system from primary and high school more resilient, more 21st century, more critical thinkers. That's what the national standards curriculum is set out to achieve, develop critical thinkers.
In the meantime, the acting CEO tasked the principals in Region 7 at the primary level to work on improving the literacy and numeracy levels to at least 90%. This as children are still leaving primary school without the ability to read. As for the high school principals, they were tasked with ensuring that the students leave with at least 5 CXC subjects. On the issue of special needs, she assured students will get the help that they require.
So our special education students, we want to look at our inclusive spaces, we want to look on the programs that are offered to them and the support of the ministry as we give them the additional support that they need to carry out their duties.
Region 7 caters to schools within Clarendon. According to the regional director, Barrington Richardson, there are 109 public schools in the region. He told TVJ News that for the PEP results this year, they are just a few points below the national average. Kimberly Petty, TVJ News.
The National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA, is in the process of mapping large construction projects across the island. CEO of NARA, Major General Anthony Anderson, gave an update at the recent Recovery and Rebuilding Expo in St. James. Details from Andrea Chisholm.
Here is, as I said, we have a mandate to accelerate. We have a mandate to do things faster, at scale, with transparency and accountability.
The CEO of NARA reiterating the purpose of the agency as it builds the foundation for rapid reconstruction projects following the devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa.
Urgency is what we're about now. And speedy outcomes and an accelerated process. But what that is not is undue haste. You can't do it in a fool way, where you just, to achieve haste, you don't do it properly. That would be as big a tragedy as probably not doing it at all.
Major General Anthony Anderson reiterated that the new and improved infrastructure has to be resilient to natural disasters such as hurricanes and earthquakes. Following his appointment, which took effect on June 1, NARA has been speaking with several stakeholders.
One of the first things that we are doing is getting a sense of all of the large projects that are taking place in the country. To do this, we have to have, and have been having, the meetings with the various MDAs, with the private sector, the construction industry, and anyone else who is thinking, and the private sector, of course, who are doing their own developments. And the reason for that, we really need all of this development, all of these projects mapped. We need to be able to look at Jamaica and see what's going on in space and in time.
That would promote synergy across different sectors as they work together to get the job done. The NARA legislation clearly states that there should be a registry of projects, all of which have to be approved by Cabinet. Major General Anderson says the projects and their progress will be published on NARA's website so that individuals can track developments. Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
And coming up in this newscast, U.S. reinstates naval blockade of Iranian ports. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Before the first patty is made, there are hands that raise it. Hands that
Welcome back. In this evening's Ray of Hope, we look at students making profit following a Social Development Commission Youth Entrepreneur Competition. Kimberly Petty tells us more.
Ray of Hope, brought to you by
Quartz has what you need to make home yours. Easy payment plans using Quartz Ready Finance. Quartz, make home yours.
When Catalina Dixon decided to start a business with her schoolmate Racine Small, she didn't expect to cop the top prize for the Youth Entrepreneur Program competition. She walked away with $90,000 and an experience of a lifetime. The Racine High student said prior to the competition, she had minimal knowledge in business as she's a science student. But with belief in herself, she and Small created RK Sweet Treats where they served cakes in a cup.
When we started the business, schoolwork, it started to pile. It's because we had the business, so we had to sell during lunchtime, and then sometimes we would have to go into a little bit of the class time in the lunchtime. But we made it work, and we're doing well in school, and as you can see, we did well in the business. So
The 12-week competition challenged high school students in Hanover to transform business ideas into micro-enterprises. Participants received $10,000 in seed funding. Students were also equipped with training in financial literacy, financial management, and developing business plans. Dixon Small told TVJ News that they're considering expanding their business.
Well, some of the experience that I gained is some knowledge because I am not a business student, I do science. So when I came into it, I didn't know anything about business, even though in grade 8 I did well in business basic, but I wasn't that advanced. So in this business now, I learned different ways how to satisfy the customers and to make profits.
Merlin Otti High School's Nazar returned a cup the third place prize for her snack wheel business, while Kendra Dinham of Overseas walked away with the second place prize for her business, Crumbs and Get It.
I came today and I asked my teacher, Miss, you know, say, me know we knock me a ball, no? Because me love ball. So it feels so nice knowing that all my hard work I put in wasn't for a reason, you know, because everybody come here, everybody is a winner. As I'm saying, everybody won because we come here with ideas and we leave with experience, and that's something that no one can take away from us.
Dinham said it wasn't easy balancing school with her business, but she pulled through.
They invested $10,000 in our business ideas, and I flipped that $10,000 to $152,000.
And it's for success stories like this why Executive Director of the Social Development Commission, SDC, Omar Frith, is looking to expand the competition to other parishes in partnership with Infinity Cooperative Credit Union.
We're extremely proud of Team Hanover for this very enterprising initiative, the Youth Entrepreneurship Program. What makes this exceptionally special, we're looking at youth in high schools, most of whom are in third form, grade 9ers, and they would have gone through a series of entrepreneurial competitions, developing their own businesses, receiving mentorship, and of course being judged on the businesses they create, and eventually receiving awards for the quality of the businesses that they would have done.
For your Ray of Hope, I'm Kimberly Petty.
Ray of Hope, brought to you by
Quartz has what you need to make home yours. Easy payment plans using Quartz Ready Finance. Quartz, make home yours.
Time now for responses to our feedback question, and we have been asking, what are your predictions for the semi-final matches in the 2026 FIFA World Cup? And our first comment comes from Audley, who says, defending champion Argentina are peaking at the right time, and France's raw pace on the counter-attack will be lethal. Watch out for an Argentina-France final. Javi says, Spain 3, France 2, England and Argentina finishing 2-2 after both regular and extra time, leading to a penalty shootout. I have Argentina winning on penalties. Jacqueline says, I'm moving with the crowd. Find a team, Jacqueline. Again, we're asking, what are your predictions for the semi-final matches in the 2026 FIFA World Cup? You can keep those comments coming. Facebook.com/Television Jamaica and post on X at TVJ News Center. Now, the business day and news from overseas are after the break, so please stay with us.
Good evening and welcome to the Business Day. I'm Dwayne Anderson. Experts say the Iran war escalation is putting upward pressure on oil prices. Brent crude, the international benchmark, rose nearly 4% to $79 a barrel. Prices rose after the United States of America resumed airstrikes on Iran, and Tehran responded with its own attacks against Gulf countries that house U.S. military facilities. Now, gas prices also rose today. On Sunday, AAA reports the average price for gas was $3.87 a gallon. That's a 30% increase since the United States and Israel first attacked Iran last February. But this price is significantly down from the high of $4.56 a gallon reached on Memorial Day, improving regional travel. Oh, that's another story. Let me tell you about that one, because improving regional travel, that is one of the items at the top of the agenda for Martinique. The country, a department of France, recently took its seat for the first time in CARICOM. Now, our reporter Romarda Lyons is in Martinique and filed this report.
23 members of CARICOM, 15 full member states, 8 associate members. This country is the first French overseas department to join the list. Martinique is now an associate member of the Caribbean community, CARICOM. It's been years in the making, and immediately, one of the hopes of this integration is easier, more convenient travel in the region.
Wow, this is a big challenge for all of us. I do think that we have to improve on the Caribbean connectivity. I think it's an issue for Martinique, but it's an issue for all the islands.
That's Hervé Below, director of the Martinique Tourism Board. On paper, neighbors. But when it comes to flights, trips, and vacations for Caribbean nationals in the Caribbean, it's almost as though the islands are long-lost cousins. Mr. Below says that lack of connection is not just inconvenience where time is concerned. It usually means people have to fork out more money just to travel.
Cuba is probably one of the worst case examples. They might have to go to Panama, then from Panama go to Miami, then from Miami to Martinique. It's not far. There shouldn't be so many transit and stops to go to Martinique. Someone in Jamaica would have to go to Miami or maybe to St. Lucia to go to Martinique. I do think there must be a solution between airplanes and boats to create a network throughout the Caribbean. It must be a priority for sure.
The issue has long left boardrooms and is not just a talking point among officials. People right across the region have been feeling the impact. Jamaican photographer Steve James, for example, recently traveled from St. Lucia to Martinique. This is how it went.
Miami to St. Lucia to Martinique. So I landed in St. Lucia, I think it was the south of the island, and then I took a boat over to Martinique. They say it's like 14 kilometers. It took me like an hour. I mean, Jamaica is fine and Cuba and those places, but the Eastern Caribbean is very challenging because when I wanted to come here on the day I wanted, they didn't have any flights.
And it's the same struggle for Noel Walker, who traveled to Martinique from New York.
I had to stop from New York in Miami, then to come here, and each flight was about 3 hours and change, when a direct flight could have been altogether just 4 hours and change. So my travel was around 7 hours.
Mr. Below says fixing this long-time struggle is a priority for the Martinique government, as it now has a foot in CARICOM discussions.
My dream, to be honest, would be that many of the governments and local authorities throughout all the islands get together and invest in one Caribbean airline that can help us connect. If we do that, I do think that it will help develop the whole of the Caribbean economically, culturally, on many other topics. So it's a priority as far as I'm concerned.
And outside of travel, he believes there are other areas in CARICOM in need of more regional collaboration.
You know, we are naturally in the Caribbean, so we should be interacting more with the other islands, whether it is St. Lucia, Barbados, Jamaica, Trinidad. So the fact that now we are part of the CARICOM will hopefully open a lot of doors for us in terms of tourism, businesses, cultural exchanges, and many other topics that are important, even science and medical research.
Romarda Lyons, TVJ News.
Thanks, Romardo. The JSE index declined by 1,418 points today, while the junior market index declined by 26 points. Now, the winners include Productive Business Solutions US dollar ordinary shares, Consolidated Bakeries, Portland JSX, Sagicor Real Estate X Fund, and 138 Student Living. That's their Jamaica variable preference shares. Now the losers, they include G West Corporation, ordinary shares, Edufoca Limited, Knutsford Express Services, Derriman Trading Company, and General Accident Insurance Company. 26 stocks traded firm. At the end of foreign exchange trading, banks and cambios were selling the US dollar for an average $159.70. The Canadian dollar is being sold for $113.79. The pound is going for $213.96, while the euro is selling for an average $185.68. And that's the business news from overseas when we return.
Welcome back. In news overseas, U.S. President Donald Trump has said the U.S. is reinstating a naval blockade of Iranian ports and will impose a 20% charge on all cargo shipped through the Strait of Hormuz following days of escalating strikes between the two countries. He said this would stop Iran's ships or customers from entering or leaving the key oil shipping route, but all other countries will have fair and open use of the strait. The blockade will be in effect from 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. Tehran and Washington clashed over the strait's control after exchanging strikes in the region overnight and on Monday. The U.S. said it carried out strikes against military targets in Iran, targeting air defense systems, coastal radars and missiles and drone sites. Iran said it responded by striking U.S. military base in Kuwait, Jordan and Bahrain, and radars in Oman. In Trump's Truth Social post on Monday, he insisted the strait will remain open with or without Iran.
I'm over this war to make it stop. But guess what? You know what's going to make us happy?
World Cup.
That is correct.
World Cup.
And I'm sure that Jermaine Brown